All right. Welcome back to another Tenement TV. Today we have Sal and the plug here to talk a loaded sports slate this weekend. We have everything. It's maybe not quite a full sports equinox, but pretty damn close with the WNBA subbing in for the NBA, the MNBA, I guess. But guys, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you having me on today. Definitely looking forward to uh, tonight's games, man. We got game one of the WNBA. I'm kind of, a little tilted on. It kind of sucks because obviously we got prime time football on basically the same time the WNBA is on. So that's a little, taken away a little bit from the finals there. But because we all know it's going to be, NFL. But either way, still the finals in the WNBA. We got a good primetime game in the NFL, and obviously hockey's back. So definitely got a loaded slate, and we got the MLB playoffs. I mean, what else could you ask for right now?
Man, it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful to finally be here. I know me and Zach, we talk about it all the time. Like, it's so nice to just be in this stage where we've got so much going on, right? And so many good games. We got, I'm just excited. Baseball playoffs, MLB playoffs. Got some series that could end tonight. Yeah, WNBA finals. I was pretty upset the Aces lost, but looking forward to that. And NBA preseason too, man. I've been enjoying some of those games, man. They've been good.
Well, and it's like I was talking to Plug before we came on. Even is that um, unfortunately I feel like my WNBA kind of lost a little bit of the shine when Caitlin Clark went out. Not to be a fair weather league fan here, but that was where I was tuning in quite a bit there. And once they went out, it was kind of like, all right, like we're ready for Pacer season here in Indy. Like
Right.
let's get things moving. But before we get too deep there into WNBA, we do have the NFL. We are deep into. We are more than a quarter of the way through the season already. Hard to believe, but tonight for Thursday night football, as we like to kick off, is we have the San Francisco 49ers going into Seattle, playing an NFC West divisional game. Seattle, 3.5-point underdog. So, guys, any thoughts? I can start with Plug, maybe. Do you have any thoughts on this game going into this Thursday night NFC West divisional showdown?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm looking really forward to this game. I think it's going to be a good one. To be honest with you, man, we're so used to primetime games being kind of, people say low scoring, not entertaining. It's kind of been the opposite, right? I mean, I've been seeing some pretty decent primetime games, at least the ones I've been watching. Maybe it's because I have bigger action on them and it just feels that much better. But tonight, I'm expecting a high scoring game. I do like the over. I believe it's at 49 right now, at a minus 108 to the over. So does look like there's a little money coming in on the under here, which is going to be understandable because a lot of the public likes to bet the unders in prime time, which over is a very public play for any sport. But prime time NFL, you get a lot of people on the unders. I like the over here. This is a big NFC West prime time game. Seahawks come in what 3-2, right? They're 1-3-1 against the spread right now. You got San Fran, man. I don't honestly, I don't want to sit here and be like the Niners are done like everyone else is. I don't necessarily think they are, but reality is they're 2-3. They're 2-3 against the spread. And here you are on the road against the Seahawks laying 3.5. I just don't know, man. Losing to the Cardinals, I don't know, man. I don't know where I'm at with this Niners team right now. I can't get on a side to be real with you, Tenement. I'm going to have to take the over here and stay off a side. I do think this game is loaded with props, though.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll get into that. Sal, do you agree?
I definitely agree with the last take there that this game is loaded with props. I'm really liking what I'm seeing there. I do think San Fran is going to win. I think they're going to contain Kenneth Walker. Like, yeah, you could break out for a big run, but I don't know, man. Like that's just kind of like the feeling I got. I don't have the research here to back that up, but that's the kind of game I'm expecting it to be. I think San Fran gets it done over there, and the Seahawks struggle to get their run game going. That's the kind of way that's the way I see it playing out. I'm not sold on the over. I'm iffy on it. I may lean under, but I may just stay off that altogether.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing that's difficult here is there's two forces at play where I have a just general principle rule where in the NFC West, I always say, and I mean, I've been a long time Rams fan, so it's like I've been following this conference my whole life, or this division, I should say, and it's like I always say a home team getting more than a field goal in the NFC West is just an automatic play every time. Now this and at that I did that last week with Arizona. I took the Cardinals. I was like, hey, this is it's just part of the automatic system play, if you will, right? But I will say tonight has me a little bit more skeptical because it does feel like, and I have liked the Seahawks. I felt like they have been undervalued as the season has progressed. I think they've been playing really good football on both sides of the ball. And obviously they're a very tough team at home. The 49ers are banged up on both on offense and defense to some extent. Now, even though my initial thought was to like Seattle here as a home dog, I don't know. I just that it's one of those where the 3.5, that number just kind of gives me pause, and it kind of makes it seem a little bit sketchy where it's like they're really, really trying to tempt you to take Seattle. They really want you to take Seattle. And as I said before, I mean, the Thursday night used to be an automatic under situation as well. Just because teams on a short week, the offenses were sloppy. But to your point, Plug, it has not been the case in these Thursday night games. I mean, teams have been putting up big points, and which is a little strange considering across the league on Sundays, the unders have been hitting pretty heavily. And it's like on Thursday night, which are normally a lot more under dominant, it's like we've been seeing a lot of teams just sailing over the totals on Thursday night. So a little bizarre. We can certainly get into some of these props, and then I mean, maybe could lead to Sal maybe throwing some flash picks into the app as well after we get out of here. If we come to any good ideas, maybe a good conversation about something that could go either way. So, Plug, what kind of props do you like maybe on this Thursday night game tonight?
So my first look is going to be I'm going right to Charbonnet right away. This guy, and I'm not going to go. I'm going the opposite way here. I'm taking his receiving yards. They continue to put my man at 13.5, and I'm going to continue to cash on that over, bro.
Hey, you read my mind, man. You read my mind. When I saw that, man, I like Charbonnet, man. And
So do I.
And they use him like when Kenneth Walker, like obviously, like when Kenneth Walker's healthy, they're using him in the pass game. Like that's I'm surprised that line is 13.5 again.
It has not moved. They're not moving it, and it continue. I think it's what every game so far, bro. It's hit, and they have yet to move it. Still at a reasonable price. I'm looking at a minus 121 right now. I'm willing to lay that no problem. So that's my go-to prop right there. I love it. I'll be perfectly happy simply just betting that on this game, honestly, and getting my money and getting out. But yeah, there's quite a few that I like in this game, honestly. I know people are skeptical on Ayuk here, but I think he might be a good look. I mean, I think he's what 4 in his last 5. He has gone under his receiving yards. Tonight they got him at 63.5 at a minus 106. I really do like his over here. I think they're going to use him. So my whole thing here is okay, so the another reason why I like the over, right, is because you got the Seahawks ranked 20th in their run defense. All right. Where you got the Niners who allow almost 5 yards per carry. I'm not thinking of the run game here. I'm really not. Even though Niners, that's their bread and butter. Even though their numbers on paper look better in the passing game, they will continue to run the ball. And I think they're probably going to get a lot of good things out of the run game tonight against the Seahawks run defense. But I do think Ayuk is going to break out here. I think this is the perfect spot for him. And I think they're going to need him too if they want to not only win this game, but cover this number. So they're my two favorite here on both sides. I like Ayuk to break out for the Niners. And Charbonnet's receiving yards is my favorite one out of all of them.
Very good. Yeah, no. Also wanted to welcome up a friend of the program here, Bobby Didge, coming in. We will be doing a little bit of a college football preview later on tonight as well. But happy to have you joining in and get some of your feedback here, tuning in live from an undisclosed location. Bob, how are we doing? And is there anything that you like on the Thursday night slate, or any feedback or any thoughts that you had on what you've heard so far from Plug there on Ayuk and Charbonnet?
Don't mind the look. First off, thanks for having me on. Yeah, undisclosed location. Apologize for the camera setup in the car. Obviously, just wanted to hop in for a couple minutes here while I have some time. Excited to talk college football and some NFL tonight. As for tonight's game, I don't have anything on side or total. A little interested in the Niners. If it got back down to 3. One thing I noticed last week was in the Cardinals game, they were 1 for 7, I believe, both teams over 700 total yards. I believe they were 1 for 6 or 1 for 7 in the red zone. Jordan Mason fumbled going into the end zone to possibly go up 10 in that game. And then of course the Cardinals then came back, went back down, scored to win the game, on their end. But, so I think that's a little misleading, the box score. They also didn't have their kicker in that game. And they had to go for it for a 4th and 23, 25 on their own end. So a little misleading there. Do think the Niners 2-3 record is a little fugazi on that front. So lean towards the Niners here. And I've been a big Seahawks proponent all year. Don't mind the Ayuk props. We've seen him be a little quiet this year, so it could be a time for him to step up there. I do have something on the college slate tonight. I do like Middle Tennessee. +4, I think, is still left out there. I got 4.5 earlier this morning. Against Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech's a team I've been down on all year. Quite frankly, Middle Tennessee is not good at anything. I just don't think my number's a little less, and I don't think Louisiana Tech should be favored against this much over anyone in Ruston. Not that much of a home field here on an early weeknight. So a little bit of a coin flip game. I'll take the points and the candy with the Blue Raiders of Murfreesboro.
Love to hear that. As they say, the question is, do weird things happen in Ruston on Thursday nights?
Yes.
But in the fall. So I guess that remains to be seen. Sal, what were your thoughts on the Thursday night slate?
Yeah, Thursday night football. I really like the Charbonnet pick, receiving yards, as Plug said. That was one I was gravitating towards. I also like Purdy rushing yards. I think the line's like 11.5 or something like that. I think he's averaging probably 12, 13, maybe a bit more per game. And I think that the Seahawks defense against the run, he's going to have an opportunity to easily surpass that. I think, who did they play last week again? Seahawks?
Giants. They lost at home to the New York Football Giants.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to remember, but I think the Seahawks have been giving up. I have to double check. I didn't do my research here, but I have to double check. But I think the Seahawks are giving up some rushing yards to quarterbacks. And now that Purdy's elite rushing quarterback, but I think 11.5 or 12.5, whatever it's at, is easily doable.
Well, and what you like to look for there is generally a team that has a pretty good secondary, so they're kind of locking up receivers down the field, but maybe not as good on the defensive line. So it's it's like the receivers downfield are locked up, but the pass rushers aren't getting pressure to the quarterback. So that is normally when there's going to be an opportunity for even a quarterback who's not as quick to kind of get. I mean, we saw Joe Flacco break off like a 30-yard run last week. So, it's you
Breaking
kind of have
out
to have
there.
that good recipe. And a lot of times with those quarterback rushing props, it's one play. It's a matter of whether or not you're going to get one chance on a broken play to kind of break something off deep.
Exactly, and I think that goes well with some of the predictions we had on Ayuk. Like if he's getting it down over the air or making big plays, that that puts more pressure on the defense to cover a little deeper, and it might open something up for some rushing yards there for Purdy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so any other just kind of does anybody else have any other just like general thoughts heading in from tonight or anything else for college football or NFL tonight before we just kind of get into the rest of the sports schedule tonight and this weekend?
I do want to give out WKU. I do want to give out Western Kentucky tonight. I don't. I think we lay the points here. I mean, I just can't see how they don't run this score up tonight. Either the team total or you lay the 19.5 here against UTEP. I personally can't see UTEP covering this. Now, just full disclosure here, I haven't been the hottest on my in the last couple weeks. I have not been the hottest on my college football, but here I just can't see where UTEP covers this. It is a big number, but man, I think this is just going to be a blowout from start to finish. And they're at home here. UTEP, they're what 1-4 against the spread so far this year, I believe. They're 4-11 against the spread in the last 15 games when they're a double-digit underdog. There is a lot going against them here. And then you got the Hilltoppers coming in, 4-1 against the spread on the year so far. I mean, I just don't. Everything points to Western Kentucky here for me. I think I don't know which way to go yet. If I am going to be betting it. I just don't know where. If it's going to be laying the 20 or if it's going to be the team total here.
Well, the good thing is when you're in that type of predicament, it's actually a perfect time to get into the Tenement app because then you don't have to place bets. You just throw in there, you make picks, winners or losers. You're just picking who's winning,
Yeah, there you
So
go.
it sounds like you could ride with the toppers there, or Bob. What did you think about that game in particular going into tonight?
No opinion on that game for me. One thing I just have noted, you saw it right away when Western Kentucky beat Toledo a few weeks back. The week after they beat an SEC team in Mississippi State, Western Kentucky finally chose the right quarterback. They opened the season with TJ Finley, who was a transfer in from Texas State, and he battled and won the starting job over Veltkamp, who dominated Old Dominion in the bowl game last year. They have now gone to Veltkamp. And you've seen an uptick in offense since then. So do think that if you're using full season numbers on Western Kentucky, you actually do want to look at the last couple weeks here since you switched to Veltkamp and a little bit more improvement in that offense. You have seen, they have gotten bet from an opener of 18 out to about 20 in most places. So lean with that side, but I'm going to have, $0.00 on that one tonight.
Well, and one thing I did want to share, if we can, we have the Western Kentucky just rocking an absolute banger of a helmet tonight, with their mascot Big Red. Really, just like as I've said before, I'm a sucker for college teams rocking really cool uniforms. Love to see the Hilltoppers tonight rocking Big Red,
That's
showing
amazing.
him some love. So pretty cool to see that what they will be breaking out tonight.
Look up the one if you're watching, you have time. Look up the ones they did last year where they did the Big Red, and he was in different he represented the different positions of the of football team. So all the quarterbacks wore the same helmet, and he was throwing, and then the receivers did something else. If you just have time and you're on Google later and watching this game and see this, they're kind of doing this where a Big Red themed helmet. They've done it now. This is the second version. It's kind of cool and just something awesome that gets them, quite frankly, talking about Western Kentucky when people might otherwise not, and awesome to do it on a weeknight when they're they're kind of in the spotlight in college football.
Yeah, no,
and at home,
absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
especially, they have essentially their mascot is like a much larger and red version of Grimace from
Grimace, right?
yeah.
Basically.
So that's essentially what it is. But the Toppers, it's a great college mascot, and love to see that getting incorporated into the uniforms as well. And as we talked yesterday on the Space Plug, the uniform selection in college football has to play a factor one way or another into the cap.
It's the same with me in baseball, man, with baseball bats. I mean, you
Yeah.
get guys like, Bobby Witt and Gunner getting all these cool bats. I'm like, well, I guess I'm taking them for a home run tonight. So
Yeah,
yeah,
right,
man, it
right.
definitely plays a
And
part.
it's like, West Virginia, which we'll touch on that a little bit later tonight and in their big matchup this weekend. But they have some really awesome all blackout uniforms this weekend, with a nod to the coal mining industry in the state of West Virginia. So yeah, it's really cool when there's kind of a local tie-in or some sort of like program history, tradition, mascot tie-in. So anyway, before we get too deep into college football, as we'll save some of that for later on, some other storylines that we have going on. NFL, the Jets just fired their coach, Robert Saleh. They have demoted their offensive coordinator in the same move, and Nathaniel Hackett, who is a known like confidant with Aaron Rodgers. Those two are boys. That was they came in as a package deal to some extent. Hackett, a lot of sharp experts have not necessarily glowing opinions of Nathaniel Hackett and the offense that he runs, installing Todd Downing now as the offensive coordinator. So I guess I'll kind of throw it out to the group if anybody feels strongly here about how this move kind of impacts the Jets' outlook moving forward.
I can start here. I do think it is an improvement on the offensive coordinator side, but I think it kind of aligns with kind of what the Falcons and Steelers did in the offseason. The Falcons upgraded at offensive play caller, getting rid of Arthur Smith and going to Zach Robinson. And the Steelers upgraded at offensive coordinator by getting Arthur Smith and not having Matt Canada. I'm not a Todd Downing guy, but is he an improvement over Nathaniel Hackett? Probably. And then it's one of those situations where things can't get worse. And ultimately, maybe ruffling like that, the Rodgers kind of controlling the situation, even though he claims he's not. That might help the situation just a little bit. It's really going to come down to, can Rodgers and the Jets offense execute? The running game hasn't been good recently. The Jets are at the bottom of the league. Down with the Dolphins, who've had quarterback issues, Cleveland, whose offense has been terrible, Carolina, New England, as far as teams who haven't had hardly any explosive plays beyond 20 yards this season. So if that doesn't turn around, no matter who the play caller is, in that sense, the players need to perform a little bit, and that goes on Aaron Rodgers, that goes on the offensive line, helping out the running game. You've even seen it split at running back, with Braylon Allen and Breece Hall a little bit more than, it's probably making some fantasy guys angry there. But yeah, I think it will improve. But how much, I don't know. But again, step in the right direction, I think.
As I think we texted earlier today, anyone over Nathaniel Hackett is probably an upgrade. Sal, go ahead.
Quick question. I haven't watched too much Jets this year, but is the O-line still an issue with them?
It's not an issue.
Yeah,
I would say it's some way they haven't had not too much time, but so yes, it is. But again, I'd probably say they were a slight improvement over previous years where they were an abject disaster. But again, still not great. But that's the situation with a lot of teams in the league right now. I think offensive line play is generally across the board is down.
Yeah. When I see Breece Hall's numbers and the lack of explosive plays like you were mentioning, the first thing I think about is is that the O-line, right? But I don't know, man. I don't really have a prediction here of the changes are going to help things, in New York. But playing against the Bills on Monday Night Football this week probably isn't the best game to start with. That's a big game for them if they want to change the momentum behind the team and get something going. Like that's like a must win for them, and it's not going to be easy.
For sure. And the Bills have had a ton of linebacker injuries. So this is a game where you could see a lot of Breece Hall in the passing game. Maybe some of those secondary weapons kind of stepping up. One other thing about Nathaniel Hackett's offense, and I don't have numbers in front of me, but two things that help out quarterbacks a ton: play action and motion, pre-snap motion. That pre-snap motion helps you identify the defense, and play action just makes people hesitate a little bit on the defensive side. Even if you aren't good at running the ball, it does not matter in a sense. That's like a false kind of thing there. But with the Aaron Rodgers Achilles, a little bit less play action, and Nathaniel Hackett,
there's no motion.
For doing motion.
Yeah, there's no motion at all in this offense.
Right.
Which you would think with guys, explosive players like Garrett Wilson, like get him out there moving, have somebody following him, kind of get a better idea of what's going on. I don't know. I don't understand the refusal to use motion. You look at two guys right away that I think about, when you think about the smartest offensive minds in the NFL, at least, if not the top two, they are no lower than the top five, is Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. Those are two guys that are just constantly using motion. I mean, they will not run a play without somebody going in motion one way or another, maybe multiple guys going in motion, maybe somebody coming this way, then going back the other way. I mean, it is a integral part to their offensive scheme is motion. And these are the smartest minds in offense in the NFL. And yet you have other people that are just completely unwilling to use it whatsoever. It's just something that it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, man. Agreed, man. Hopefully we see that change, man. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah,
right?
No, I don't know. Yeah. So, we'll go on get off my Jets soapbox here. Something else, that people are discussing, Davante Adams and trade rumors. There's people saying that he wants to go and reunite with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. I mean, to be honest, I don't feel that will. Look, nobody gets worse by adding Davante Adams, but I don't know that that's really the solution to the Jets' issues here. I think that, again, something that I just don't know there's enough people saying is that at the end of the day, you got a quarterback who is in the twilight of his career. It's not to take anything away. It's not a slight to Aaron Rodgers as to what he's accomplished, and some of the play we've seen from him has been incredible over the course of his career. But right now, to expect that same level of output from him is silly. I mean, it's just like when Peyton Manning went to the Broncos, it was not the same Peyton Manning that we saw throughout his career playing there. They relied on a very stout defense. And I think to some extent, the Jets could follow that same model here because obviously they have a very, very strong defense. But I don't know. I mean, you're still kind of expecting Aaron Rodgers to do some of the things, throwing off the run, the improv. They always say that he was like a jazz musician out there as quarterback, right? That was always kind of the description that you heard when it referred to him. And, that's great when you're in the peak of your physical prime. But when you start to get a little bit older, now you've had a year off from an Achilles injury, it just gets a little bit harder to rely on. So I don't know. I don't see that plays any big factor here as far as improving the Jets. So any other games, any primary matchups that you guys have your eye on this week in the NFL? Or if you want, we can move on towards the MLB playoff conversation, but just kind of wanted to give one more quick shout. Any other just kind of main matchups that we're seeing here in the NFL this week? Sal, I know you're as a Steelers guy, they are coming off of a heartbreaking, last minute walk-off loss essentially to the Cowboys in a game that, to be honest, they really should have won. Now they go on the road playing at, I almost said Oakland, the Las Vegas Raiders. So Steelers at Raiders, installing a new/old starting quarterback, taking Gardner Minshew out, putting Aiden O'Connell in. Any thoughts there on your Steelers and what we can expect to see from them in Vegas?
Yeah, I think they're gonna smash that -3 line, man. And not to be a homer about it, but man, new quarterback against the Steelers defense, like I don't know, man. And not that the Raiders have been particularly impressive. Plus, no Devontae Adams, you know what I mean? Like, so like I really like the spot here, man. I think the Steelers get back on track right away. Yeah, man.
I will say Brock Bowers has been awesome, which I don't think surprises anybody.
He's been
Still
great.
kind of unsure why they went first round tight end 2 years back to back, just taking kind of the best tight end in the draft 2 years in a row between Michael Mayers and now Brock Bowers, but or maybe there's a year in between then. I don't know, but I don't know. He's been incredible for them. I would also say not a whole lot of people are fearing the Raiders going in there, and we know that there's going to be terrible towels all over the place, as is commonplace now with these Raiders home games, is that road teams kind of infiltrate and take over, and especially a team with as big of a presence that Pittsburgh seems to travel with. So what do you think about this game, or are there any other games that really stick out to you on this NFL slate this week?
Yeah, so I hate to just agree with you guys, but I really do like the Steelers in this upcoming game. I think they're laying a reasonable number. I like everything that's going on over there in Pittsburgh, so I agree with you on that. The one game I do want to talk about that really caught my eye is a 1 o'clock game coming up, and that's the Commanders and the Ravens. This line, all right, is where I really want to get some opinions on, because opens up at a 6.5 in favor of the Ravens at home. Now the 6.5 is at a minus 115. I mean, you can't tell me with this line that the Commanders are not going to be a humongous public dog. I mean, am I wrong here? You gotta, as a bettor, I feel like I am obligated to lay this number with the Ravens. I don't like betting public dogs ever, and I feel like this is just a spot that is screaming popular pick on the Commanders. I mean, and I don't even have to go into numbers. Like, just reading line, right? This is a spot where I would have to jump on the Ravens. I mean, I feel like the books are telling us.
So I have that down as well. When I went through my first run through on the NFL board this week, Baltimore is one that immediately stood out to me as a team that it's like, hey, this is probably a team to get behind. It's not, I mean, they had a couple of early losses, but it's not like they were disappointing. I mean, they were, as we've said, a toenail away from winning in Arrowhead on week 1. That game could have gone either way, went against them. And, they had, what was the other? Oh, they lost to the Raiders in a game that they were up big and kind of, botched the game management late, kind of as the game went on. Another game they should have won. So those are 2 games that easily could have gone their way. And if one or both of those went their way,
there's a million.
We're talking about the number 1 seed, right? I mean, they're right there with Kansas City. So,
well, yeah, but there's a million reasons why we take the points with the Commanders here also. But to lay this big of a number with the books knowing all the hype around the Commanders right now, I mean, this is just either a really big letdown spot for a team that just is going to come back down to earth and get blown out by the Ravens here, or we're getting an absolute, and the line just moves to 7. Literally right in front of my eyes, we're at 7 now. I mean, look, yeah, I mean, what do you think, man?
Bob, what do you think here? This game or Steelers Raiders?
Steelers Raiders, I'll take 2 seconds. I can only look under. That's it.
Yeah.
Only look under.
Bad
no
quarterback
interest
play.
on the side. Hope a turnover, don't screw me over. Like, that's it. Commanders, Ravens. Obviously fascinating game. The Ravens are a power rating juggernaut and have been for a couple of years. You saw in the AFC Championship game last year, they were laying an enormous number to the Chiefs. Mahomes is a dog, all that stuff. that's part of the reason. Couple things I'm looking at here. First off, public dog, to me, those things mean absolutely zero. The big money that comes in late week when limits are starting to rise, and they do on Thursdays around this time of the day, out at Circa and places offshore. That's when the big money and the big moves, the people who bet 5, 6, 7 figures on these games start moving markets. And that's kind of what happens there. I see a battle going on in this game. Some people looking at pure power ratings, and it just really depends on how much you use your priors right now. If you're using only this season metrics, you're going to have a pretty good number on the Commanders right now and probably like them in the game plus the points. If you're using your preseason priors, you probably think this number is right, and you're a little bit lower on the Commanders, and you might be laying it with Baltimore. So I think you're going to see a battle in the market. A couple things I see. I think the Ravens defense specifically is a little overrated. Still using some of those preseason priors. They've lost a little bit from the defensive on the defensive side. I know Patrick Queen to the Steelers, a couple other losses as well on that side of the ball. Don't think the secondary is as good. So can Washington take advantage of that? Absolutely. We've seen that with Daniels and that passing attack do that. So I do kind of think about the over. I don't know if I'm going to get involved in this game. I think there's a lot to unpack here. But it really kind of depends on how you weigh your preseason priors and how you get to this number of 6.5 or even 7 at some spots. I will say, at 7, if I can access that, like I definitely would consider the Commanders at 7. But another thing too is, when you think about Baltimore, and you can kind of start to build this a little bit with the Ravens specifically, because we've seen this combination of Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh for a long time. They don't, you mentioned that Raiders game a few weeks back. They get a lead. They allow teams back in it. We've seen this now quite a track record of them letting teams back in games. Can the Ravens get margin is another question. We've seen them not really be able to do that at times against some of these teams, and it's just kind of like an overarching thing that you've seen over a couple different versions of the Ravens. So that's a point to maybe take the Commanders, and the 7 if it's out there. I mean, don't underestimate the key of 7 in the NFL. So lots of things to consider. I'm really torn. Might sit on the sideline, might take an over. But yeah, lot to unpack here. Great game on Sunday. Can't wait to watch.
I was just going to say that's something that maybe I would look to the over, and to your point about the Ravens and blowing leads and kind of, that being a little bit of their MO. I mean, that has been the case with them, even when Justin Tucker was automatic inside of 60.
Yep.
And now we're saying, not to wildly overreact, but I mean, he's missing kicks now that we've never seen him miss in his career, which I think kind of has to be a factor as well into the, when you're talking about laying a big number or, and especially playing a team as formidable or at least as impressive as the Commanders have been as an offensive team. It's just, it gets a little bit harder to kind of have confidence there.
Well, one more thing too is what you're seeing with some of these in the NFL specifically, this season and in previous seasons. These totals, once they get beyond the key of 51, you'll see a lot of them. There's a couple groups out there who will just start taking the under when totals start with a 5 at some point. So it'll be interesting to see if that late money comes in on the over or on the under in this game. At some point possibly gives you a better number. So it might be something I might want to wait on to see if that one of those groups who, tend to take unders in high total games kind of come in on this one, as now we're moving to, to the back half of the week here. So it's just something to consider, watch the movement at, key books. I mentioned Circa as one, and kind of watch how they're trending in the market as you might see that come in. I'm not sure. I'm very interested to see where it goes. And if it doesn't come in, it kind of tells you the over might be the right side here.
Yeah.
I love the takes there. I'm with you though. I'm really excited to watch this game. I don't know if I have if I'm playing anything within it, man, but as a fan, like this is going to be a treat to watch. If I do if I am predicting something and I think Plug mentioned it, this could be the spot where the Commanders kind of come down to earth a little bit, right? And I'm not ready to make a pick based on that, but that's just kind of a gut feeling there. But we'll see, man. I mean, Jaden Daniels just been electric, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as we said, Washington doesn't have the most impressive defense. As Bob alluded to, the Ravens have struggled a little bit, or maybe they could be slightly overrated on defense. So it's definitely a recipe for points and to see some teams for both offenses to really put up some points here. Either way, it's just a great matchup to have in the 1:00 slate there. Bob, I know you have to run. Your time's limited. We appreciate you coming in. We will be chopping it up with you again later on when we get a little bit deeper into our college football deep dive weekend preview. So be on the lookout for that, and we will talk to you then.
Yep. Thanks a lot for having me. Great talking, and looking forward to the college football preview tonight. Huge slate this weekend, tons of key games, and of course, I'll give you something like I did with Middle Tennessee, a little something random in the accounts for you later. But looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yep.
Hey,
thanks, Bob.
Hey, Bobby. Really looking forward to this segment later. Thank you. Appreciate you joining us.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. So we can keep it moving here. And I guess anything else NFL wise? I mean, the only other kind of key games that I'm seeing here, we have, it's
maybe
not
Lions and Cowboys.
Lions Cowboys is one I would say.
I have one I really love, man.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm fading Danny Dimes in prime time. That's a Sunday night, right? Yeah, Sunday night versus the Bengals. Yeah, man, easy fade for me. Line is what? -3.5 for the Bengals. Bengals put up some serious, numbers last week. Man, I don't even want to go to my research to figure out what Danny Dimes' record is in primetime. It's something ridiculous, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Plug, what do you think?
I'm with you. I mean, I hate it because I'm leaning Giants, but it's just a lean. I like the points. Like you said, I'm trying to pull it up on DraftKings now. Looks like we're at it. It looks like we're at 3.5. So it's where it open, because I keep all the from the minute the line's open, I keep it like I'm trying to remember where they're at, because I love following line movement. Just for whatever, but it's something I do. So the line hasn't really budged from what I remember. I do like the 3.5. It was my first gut instinct before I even looked into this game, just because it looks like another spot that I could see a real trappy number. People run into the Bengals, even though the Bengals are 1-4. People will still automatically run to the Bengals when they're laying a number like this, especially against a team like the Giants. And you got to remember, Giants, they're going to get the calls, man. That's all there is to it. They're going to get the calls, and that's what it comes down to for me.
I mean, one thing that I certainly to keep an eye on here is Neighbors has not fully cleared concussion protocol yet. I mean, that guy's a difference maker. We've already seen it very early on. He completely changes their offense as far as having a dynamic playmaker that can not only make plays himself, but has opened up the field for other guys. Wan'Dale Robinson is kind of thriving with Neighbors on the other side. Even Slayton has put up big numbers. So guys that maybe we wouldn't expect a lot from normally have been able to really contribute in, with Neighbors out there. So I'm going to certainly keep a close eye on his availability. Now, I will say the Bengals, look, they might be the best 1-4 team of all time. And, I don't think that's a crazy thing to say, but it's like a team that you watch and their offense has been incredible. I mean, there is nothing to be lost. They let Joe Mixon walk in the offseason, has not affected their offense very much whatsoever. They gave Jamar Chase his big payday. He's out there just putting up big numbers, and their offense has been great. The problem is when as we see with teams, they paid Joe Burrow the big money. They paid Jamar Chase the big money. They're paying these guys, and all of a sudden, that's when the well starts to run dry. You start to run out of money, and you see teams, they don't have enough to pay for strong contributors on the defensive end. I mean, that's kind of what we're seeing with the Rams now, is that the Rams, who I believe have the lowest paid defense in the entire NFL, and it shows because they're, you can get whatever you want. You can kind of move the ball at will on them on the defensive side of the ball. And that's what I think we're kind of seeing with Cincinnati here, where their defense is struggling. They can't get teams off the field. They can move the ball all day long, but they can't get teams off the field when it matters. And they've played some tough opponents. And I think we're kind of starting to see the effects of that, of just not having those electric defensive playmakers now. I don't know. I struggle because it's with the Bengals. I know we talked about it maybe earlier this week in the spaces, but are they a playoff team? Yes, they are absolutely a playoff caliber team. But that path gets a whole lot tougher when you dig yourself into a 1-4 hole. And, I don't want to rule them out of the division, but it's looking like the main path that they're going to be able to have to get into the playoffs is going to come in the wild card, if anything. So I don't know. They're going to have to really start reeling off some wins. If they lose this game, I think you can go ahead and just cross them off, to be honest. I mean, at 1-5, you're not, unless, you're not going on a long enough winning streak to kind of turn that around, but
They can't lose this game.
yeah, it's not a must. It's not as much of a must win. It's a can't lose.
Yeah, they can't lose this game.
Yeah.
If they do, man, forget about it. I mean, you guys might as well just be looking towards next year at that point. I do not think this Bengals offense is all that. Love Jamar Chase, love the guy, and I'm a Burrow guy myself, but it's more one-dimensional for me. My biggest problem with the Bengals right now, they can't really run the ball. That's one problem, and you hit it right on the head. It's this defense, bro. This defense is awful. Hey, we'll see. I think that's why more or less people. It's kind of like, I don't want to say the Bengals are like the Chiefs or the Cowboys when it comes to betting. Don't matter how bad they are, people are going to bet on them anyway. But they do fit in that category right there for me, where I think the Bengals are always going to kind of be a public run to. And that's how I see them in this game. So I don't know, man. We'll see.
We have our guy, D. Blaine. He's asking why the Giants don't start Tommy DeVito. As a Bengals fan, he is worried. I can put those worries I can kind of ease those worries a little bit for you. You don't have a whole lot to worry about with Tommy DeVito. This guy was a little bit of a social media sensation last year with, he came on the scene and then his agent was wearing the fedora and had the whole Italian, persona and bravado and that whole thing. Like, it was funny and all, but at the end of the day, I mean, Tommy DeVito is not somebody to be worried about in the NFL. It's funny now looking at their quarterback depth chart. I didn't realize they also have Drew Lock, which, speaking of people to not be concerned about, he would fit into that category as well. So they're going to ride or die with Daniel Jones right now because they paid him the big money. They have a lot tied up into him, and it's kind of like, hey, this is the bed they made, and they have to lay in it. They have to figure it out, what they have with him, and Tom, not even somebody with an offensive mind like Brian Daboll is enough to make Tommy DeVito into a, useful quarterback, or I should say a reliable, dependable quarterback in the NFL week after week. I mean, he might be able to come in and get you some series in the case of an injury, but I don't know. I mean, Daniel Jones has been better than maybe we expected, but as I said, the Bengals have had a tough schedule.
Yeah, but tell me this, man. Like, sure, Daniel Jones has been all right, but what about primetime Daniel Jones?
Or just anytime Daniel Jones. I'm not sure why they gave him that big contract to begin with. It almost felt like they felt like they did it because they thought they had to do it. because the alternative was having no one. But I don't know. If you were a Giants fan, would you rather right now have Daniel Jones locked up long term the way that they do, or would you rather be one of the worst teams in the NFL this season, as they have been the last couple of years, kind of continue that? They'd be awful this year. And, looking at the quarterback crop for next season, I mean, we have guys that, it remains to be seen what they amount to. But if you just look at the draft board, there's probably, I'll say 3 to 4 at least, maybe 5, 6 quarterbacks that are going to be taken in the first round.
Yeah, and they're NFL ready, which is
Yeah.
I was just about to say that. You got guys that are absolutely 100% NFL ready. I think what they did was I don't know why they did it. I'm not a Giants fan. I could care less why they did it, but I thought it was a mistake from the very beginning. As soon as I seen that the dotted lines were signed, I knew right away. I said this is going to be an issue, and sure enough, it has been. And like you're saying, Sal, about him in prime time. That is 100% fact. And like you said, Tenement, it's all time. I mean, you always got to worry about this guy. So a very tough position the Giants were put in. I think they made the wrong decision personally, but like I said, at the end of the day, I'm not a GM. I'm not a head coach, or who knows? Maybe they see something we don't. They've done it their entire life, but
Well,
I thought it was a bad decision from the get.
the good thing is that bad decision isn't going to impact their ability to draft a quarterback. It's not like they're racking up wins because of that decision,
Right.
or middle of the a middle tier team. They're still going to lose enough and have a good shot at
I mean, if you got the money to throw away like that, I mean, fuck it, right?
I mean, it's one thing to have the money to throw away, but then it also eats away at your cap space, and then
There you go.
you kind of, a team that has holes all over the field on both sides of the ball. It gets a little bit harder to kind of fill those gaps.
How many years is that contract?
I gotta look.
Too many. The answer is too many.
Yeah, it would have been fine if you signed him to a short-term, high-pay contract, in preparation for the draft class or something, and maybe some.
It was 4 years, 160.
But
That's what I thought it was. I thought it was 4 years.
4 years, 160. So he is signed through the 2026 season, which will put him at age 29. His cap hit in that season is $58.5 million, which, man, I mean,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, it gets pretty
what
bleak there when you think about what, I don't know, man. That's a tough spot to be in. But to Sal's point, there are a lot of quarterbacks in this draft, and you know what? If they can get one, and then you bring in a rookie quarterback and they are not making a whole lot, that's when you can kind of maybe hope to turn things around a little bit. But I don't know, until they get that off the books, that's going to be tough. One thing that I will say that he's asking out there is, what week did the Chiefs lose? They're undefeated right now, 5-0.
Yeah.
Maybe not the most impressive 5-0 start we've ever seen. Some of those games have been, as we said, even with the Ravens game, could have gone either way. This is not the dominant Chiefs of old. This is not the team that's just throwing up 40 points week after week. Mahomes putting up 300 plus yards. And, I think this past week, I don't even know if he had 200 yards passing. And I'm not going to say he's struggling, but this is not the same dominant Chiefs team that we're used to seeing on the offensive side of the ball, where they're just, bulldozing teams. They have some injuries. They've lost their number one receiver. They've lost their number one running back. And so those are things that they're navigating. I believe they're on bye this week.
They are.
Okay.
Zach, did you look at this Chiefs upcoming schedule? Since this guy just asked that, I had to look. I mean, bro, they really. And I was kind of laughing when Sam was like, 17-0 for the Chiefs. But I mean, Jesus, man, their schedule is not that rough at all. I'm looking at it right now. Looks like October 20th, they got the 49ers. I'll just tell you the couple teams that I think they're going to have problems with. They got the 49ers, they got the Bills, and then they got the Texans.
Yeah.
That's the three teams I think they could have problems with. They got the Broncos twice. They got the Panthers. They got the Saints. They got the Raiders. I mean, they got the Browns, which we want to talk about bad contracts. That's one of the worst in the world. Watson is just a disgrace, bro. That was I can't even talk about it, man. Like I get so mad.
I don't even
I didn't
know
have
why
it in me to bring up the Browns
Nah,
situation. Bob is
dude,
he's a
so
Browns
bad.
fan,
Oh,
but
you're a
I didn't
Browns
have it
fan.
in me.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying, you got to bench the guy, right?
You have to.
You
What
have
are you
to.
doing, bro?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, figure it out, man, because right now, leaving him in, you are just shitting on your entire team at this point. Like, it is terrible. Terrible.
Well, what I think is going on, or at least it seems that that decision might be out of Kevin Stefanski's hands.
Probably.
It might be coming from ownership. It might, where they are, his. If it's Jimmy Haslam or whoever, they invested a lot into acquiring him, and they invested even more into extending him, and now they are kind of stuck with it. And
Record-breaking contract, bro. I mean, 5 years, and we're talking $230 million guaranteed. And
I think a big part of that, it goes to show the importance in the NFL. If you have a quarterback, anything is possible. If you do not have a quarterback, nothing is possible.
100%.
And I think this is a team that has just whiffed year after year on quarterbacks, and there's all the jokes and the people that have like the Browns jerseys with like all the names of all the starting quarterbacks that they've had since Tim Couch. We've all seen that, but I think that probably played a role here where they thought, hey, my God, this is an opportunity that we have to get somebody who's been electric on a discount. And they're like, we'll just throw everything in on this. And clearly, at least, it has not been the right decision here.
No, what a gamble.
Sal,
man.
you had something here, so.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, from like a team chemistry type perspective, starting him again this week does one or two things. He's either gotta show out and be incredible, be worth his money this week against they got the Eagles, right? Yeah, they got the Eagles, so he's gotta be worth his money this week.
Yeah,
not an easy matchup
on the road.
And if he's not showing out early in this game, especially, then he's lost faith from his teammates. Like man, if you're his teammate, you're like, man, I can't with this guy, right?
What is going on in that locker room? Like,
yeah, exactly.
You know where the problem is. Like, how does that work out? Like, I mean, you are clearly either throwing the ball completely over the man's head or into the ground.
Yeah,
and he's missing guys that are wide open. I mean, there's guys that are getting schemed open, and he's just either not seeing them or he's making the wrong read. And obviously the guy isn't completely locked in mentally, which with everything else that has gone on and everything else that we know has transpired with him. I'm not going to say it's understandable, but we all know like kind of what led us here, but it just kind of goes to show. I mean, the guy took over a full year off. There's been lawsuits nonstop. He's gotten dragged through the media, and I'm not going to sit here and feel sorry for the guy by any means, but this is not the same person that we saw at all in Houston.
And you've got a capable backup, like that's the thing. Like if you had no options as a backup QB, I would say, man, like you got no option. Like you got to roll with him. But you have a capable backup. Plus, like this move, if it's coming from like the GM or ownership or whatever, keeping him in as a starter, like that's taking the legs away from the coach, right? Like that hurts the locker room from a coaching perspective. And man, I don't like the situation at all. The only path forward is he's got to be worth his money this week. at the start of the game. Otherwise, it's downhill from there, and it's not going to recover. It's a nightmare.
Yep.
And that's the
Absolutely.
thing. It's somewhat similar to the Giant situation where, okay, you've put so much in. You have so much committed to him, not only in the draft capital that they gave up to acquire him, but also in the contract itself. And when do you pull the plug? Because when you do, it's almost like there's no going back.
Yep.
And look, I mean, maybe right now the Browns will be in a position to get one of those quarterbacks. Maybe they can get somebody that's a replacement, but it's not gonna. I don't know. It's not a good situation right now with what they have tied up there in Deshaun Watson. So I guess anything else, any other big matchups here, and then we can kind of quickly touch on a couple other things before we wrap and send into the weekend. NFL.
I just want to know your thoughts on the Colts and Titans. We don't have to talk about it too much, but just I want to know what you think about that.
So, locally, there's a lot of people. I strongly disagree. They want Chris Ballard, who's the Colts general manager. They want his head on a platter. I mean, everybody wants him fired. They think that he is just the idiot that has just ruined this franchise. They say he's never made the playoffs or never, won any games in the playoffs, And for those that maybe not or maybe aren't quite as familiar with the Chris Ballard situation, is that the first year he took over as general manager also was the year when Andrew Luck decided to surprisingly retire. And what Chris Ballard has done ever since then is he has made what I consider very strong draft picks. And the thing they haven't been able to figure out is the quarterback position. Now, they have tried everything. They've thrown in Phillip Rivers. They've thrown in Matt Ryan. They've had even Carson Wentz had some starts. They tried who's the guy from Texas that they had in there? Sam Ellinger. They had him start some game. I mean, they have tried Nick Foles. They have tried everything. And then they were finally in position to draft a top quarterback. And, Bryce Young went, and then CJ Stroud went, and the Colts on the board. They ended up taking Anthony Richardson. I didn't hear anybody criticizing that pick. Now, what I thought when they took him was, hey, I'm not 100% sold on him as a prospect, but I did think it was the best pick to make because he had the highest upside, and I thought he presented a better option or he represented a much higher upside than anybody else out there. I did not want Will Levis. I didn't want, and after that, it kind of tapered off quite a bit as far as the other quarterbacks taken in that draft class. But, there's nothing that we've seen from Anthony Richardson that is surprising to anybody who watched him in college at all. He struggled with accuracy. He doesn't have a whole lot of starts under his belt. He's new to football. He's a insanely gifted athlete, not the most accurate passer. And, I think there was a lot of people that thought maybe Shane Steichen would be able to turn that around. And to this point, he hasn't been able to. Richardson's dealt with injuries. He's getting banged up. He's out there, and they're kind of like in between, right? Where they want to protect him. They don't want him running too much because they don't want him to get hurt, but also that's why you took him. That's what he does. That's what he offers you that other guys can't. So that's where it's tough.
I'll say this, man. I haven't watched too much Colts this season, but I watched the Steelers game, obviously. And at the start of that game, very limited sample size, he looked good, man. Like his passes were accurate, and it looked like I was impressed because, that's not what I've heard of Anthony Richardson this season. Obviously, like I said, I haven't watched too much, but I don't think you can be mad at that draft pick. Like, maybe he's not the best young prospect in the game, but he's flash potential. Obviously, injury concerns are there, but I think you got to be happy with that if you're a fan. And I don't really understand the logic in hating on the GM. And you've gotten good things out of your backup too, which you got to give credit to the GM bringing in Joe Flacco. and he's been amazing.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't remember the exact number. I thought I might have had it bookmarked, but uh, I know that the Colts have had over $130 million of collective salary that is either currently injured or has been injured and missed games this year. So like it's just hard. Like you talk about guys that are just big time players. DeForest Buckner's been injured. You know, the EJ Speed, the guy who he was leading them in tackles. You know, they already were thin at quarterback or cornerback. Both of their starting corners have been injured or are still injured at this point. So Zaire Franklin's been injured. I mean, these are guys that now Michael Pittman's out for, it said, for the next couple weeks at minimum, maybe going on IR. Jonathan Taylor missed last week. He injured his ankle. He missed last week, probably going to miss this week again. Trey Sermon is now like, who's the backup? He's injured his shoulder. I mean, this is an injury disaster right now.
Josh Downs has been out too, right?
Downs says he's missed games. Yeah, and he just came back and he missed practice this week. So it has been, I don't know how you can blame the general manager for injury concerns. But yeah, hold on. Here it is. I have it right here. They have $80 million in 2024 cap space, injured or on IR right now.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, and that's not the GM's fault, man. It really is.
Right.
It's one thing if you draft injury. Okay, if you sign injury prone players and make a habit out of going that route to maybe you're trying to maximize that dollar by signing players with risk or whatever. But ultimately, like I don't think he's been bad. Like I like the roster. I'm not saying it's amazing, but it's not bad. It's solid, and injury concerns aren't his fault.
Now, I will say, as far as this week goes, they are playing Tennessee. The Colts have allowed the most yards by any team in the NFL this season. They've allowed over 2,000 yards so far. The Titans have 1,025 yards of total offense this year, which is near the bottom. So it's it's like the stoppable force meets the movable object a little bit. So, I guess we'll see. We will see. Remains to be seen who's going to be starting that game at quarterback. To your point, Joe Flacco, obviously a very capable backup.
I think they're switching back to Richardson.
And there's
I didn't know that.
There's some local speculation. People said because it's just kind of a vague hip injury is what they've been calling
Broke
it.
A hip.
And there's some local journalists that are speculating that, well, he's not really injured. They just wanted to bench him, but they didn't want to make it a big deal about it. And I mean, who knows? That's not. That's like I said, it's just speculation at best. Yeah. But
I honestly I would be a little worried if they switched back to Richardson. I'm not going to lie to you. I liked what I've seen from Flacco out there. I don't think it was a terrible move. My thing is why I like the Colts more. Like we could talk about bad quarterback on the Colts all we want, but we got Will Levis on the other side of the ball, people. Like come on. Even if they do put Richardson out there, I'd rather have the ball in Richardson's hand than Levis. I think this is a Colts win here all day long. I see nothing from the Titans that I like at all. At least the Colts have won 2 of their last 3 games. They got options. Yes, they are injury demolished right now. I mean, it from top to bottom, it is ugly. You can't put anything on that. That is a football team. It happens. They just caught the injury bug, man. You can't blame the management for that, the quarterback, nothing. All you can do is keep on pushing through the season, and that's what this Colts team is doing. They're pushing through the season as best they can, and like I said, I don't care who the Colts start at quarterback here. I'd rather take them over Levis anyway. So
yeah, I found the number itself. So the NFL current salary cap number is $272.5 million. The Colts have had either they have $134.7 million has been mistimed due to injury, either currently or at some point. So they have 66 million on IR right now, and another like 70 million worth of guys that have missed time or are currently about to miss time, including Jonathan Taylor, including Braden Smith, the starting left tackle, including Kelly, who's another starting offensive lineman. So, I mean, not only are they just having guys injured, they are missing guys at key positions.
Yep.
And, everybody wants to focus on the Anthony Richardson part of things, but the honest truth is he is not the reason why they are losing games. They're just, you can only sustain so many holes on both ends of the ball before that really starts to impact. And to their credit, to be honest, I feel like both to Steichen and Chris Ballard's credit, they have remained competitive. It's not like they're just getting blasted. They're not just getting like drilled by teams out there. They're losing close games.
Yeah,
I
I thought they
agree.
played a good game against Jacksonville.
They almost came back and won.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree, and I'm not a Colts fan at all. But I just watch the game, and I just say what I see, and I don't think there's any reason to be disappointed in this Colts team if you're a Colts fan at all. What you do is you muscle through the season with your team, keep your mouth shut, cheer them on, and keep it pushing, man. Because you coming at the GM and doing all this and doing all that is just making you, just a. I don't know, man. But if the Colts were my team, I would definitely be backing them 100% here. I don't think they look terrible in the situation they're in.
Yeah.
So I'll say they lost by 2 to Houston. They lost by 6 to Green Bay. They lost by 3 to the Steelers. So those are and 3 to Jacksonville. So those are their 4 losses.
They beat the Steelers by 3.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. So they've
and that was a gutty game, man. That was a gutty game.
All their games have been within one score, win or loss. So they are right there in the mix in every game. Lost by 3 to Jacksonville, 6 to Green Bay, and 2 to Houston. Upcoming games, as we spoke to, they play in Tennessee this week. Then they play the Dolphins, Texans again, at the Vikings, and against the Bills. So some tough games coming up that, I don't know. They got to get this Titans and Dolphins game, or else.
They need the 2.
Yeah,
exactly. They need the 2.
I'd love to see Flacco start again this week. Bring Anthony Richardson back against the Dolphins. Hopefully, Dolphins are still, no Tua still by then. Get that win. Let him get his feet under him and go from there. I don't know. Is Josh Taylor is he just doubtful or is he ruled out?
He has not practiced this week. Okay. So he had an ankle sprain, which is something that it's like you could be out 1 week, you could be out 4 to 5 weeks. It could go both ways with the ankle sprains. He has not practiced yet, which that is always a concern. I mean, if he doesn't practice today and then doesn't practice it tomorrow, you can just go ahead and rule him out at this point. Well, I'll be looking for that injury report today. And, if he doesn't participate today, it's bleak. Tomorrow, no chance. So.
I just saw he didn't participate today. Sermon did, though. So at least you've got your backup. And he was pretty solid last game, right?
Sermon? Yeah, he was okay. I think he had 80-something yards, maybe a touchdown. So he's been okay.
He did. He had a touchdown last week.
Yeah. So maybe not quite as electric as Jonathan Taylor, but he's not a horrible backup to be throwing out there. So I don't know. I do get a little fatigued by it because, like I said, there's locally it's people that they just all of this is Chris Ballard's fault. Like they are just ready to put him out to pasture. Like he has just ruined this team, and all of their problems have been his fault. And I could not disagree more with that because I think it's amazing what they've been able to do despite all the problems he's had to navigate.
Yeah. We got Deep Lane, Barnacle Boy. He's asking about the WNBA finals. We've been saving that
to
the end here.
I know Plug has some thoughts.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I've been rocking with the Lynx this whole time, man. I'm going to continue to rock with them here. I really am. I think this is I think they can, honestly, I think they win this game outright. I did an article on it. You guys can find it over at my website if you guys want to get a more in-depth look on what I think. I did a whole article on this game. It should be the highlighted article on my front page. Um, I just think the Lynx are getting way too many points here. It's a little disrespectful if you ask me. 6.5, 7 points on some books I'm seeing. I think they're going to cover this spread, if not win outright. It looks like a gift to me. I could be wrong, but the way I see it, when I handicap games, I always try to, no matter what sport it is, I always try to start with a score. So I look at the game and I'm like, okay, I see this game ending. Let's just say for this Lynx game, I see this game ending, 76-83, you know? And that's what I look, and then I factor in the spread and be like, okay, well, if if Liberty want to cover this 6.5, in my opinion, they're going to have to drop 97 to 100 points. All right. I don't think they're going to do that because I personally think that the Lynx is going to score 80 or more. And that's where I get my spread from. So 6, way too many. If the Lynx are going to put up 80, the way I think they're going to 80 or more, this is way too many points with a team that can score the way the Lynx can. Give me the Lynx here all day. I think this spread is a blessing. Honestly, I think there's going to be a lot of people backing the Aces for good reasons. The Liberty. They were super impressive against the Aces. I mean, they were. You know what I mean? It's a shame. I wanted to see the Aces advance, but it is what it is. Liberty are here in the finals, and that's what it is. I think the Lynx take care of business here. So I'm all over the Lynx in the 6.5, man. I
Yeah.
like the team total as well. Like I said, they got the Lynx team total at 76.5. I think they put up 80 or more.
Yeah. And you see it in the comments there. Maybe Zach, you can put that up. But D. Blaine was saying that if Nafisa Collier shows up, anything is possible, right? And she will, man. She will. Not to say the Liberty haven't been like incredible, man. They really, really showed out against the Ace.
Yeah.
Made it look easy almost. And yeah, I mean, Minnesota's been impressive, right? I think this is definitely. I don't know if I'm ready to take the Lynx game one, but yeah, I do feel like they did get disrespected on the spread a little bit, and I think they have a real shot. And I think I feel like this is going to be a competitive series for sure.
I mean, can we imagine if Courtney Williams come out here and puts up numbers herself? I mean, I think Collier is going to come out here and do her thing regardless. I mean, what was it last game? Let me see. It was Tuesday, I think. I can't find her numbers for some. Oh, 27 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. And that was the same game that Williams had a huge game. 24 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds. I mean, this Lynx offense just continues to produce, man. And they're here. This team is hungry. They've been hungry all year. You think it's going to stop now because they're stepping? No. Nah. I got to take it, man. I think this number is way over exaggerated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as Blaine was saying, he was mentioning that the possibility of Minnesota. I'm going to push back on that. The Minnesota basketball, I would be stunned to see them win the NBA Finals this year. But I don't hate them getting rid of Karl Anthony Towns. I do think that they needed to move on from him, but without getting too deep down into the NBA rabbit hole here, we could at least see half of that equation with the Lynx. They are certainly worthy. I think they will present, and we could end up seeing where, as a lot of people said that the Liberty Aces matchup was somewhat of a final, like that was the finals. Maybe some people were saying that, and you could see somewhat of a hangover spot here for the Liberty, where they expended a lot of energy to kind of put out the defending champs, and now it's a little bit of a classic hangover spot. I don't know, Sal. What do you think on this?
Yeah, I was
matchup?
one of those guys saying that the Liberty Aces was the finals. I retract that statement. Minnesota looked good. The Suns put up a fight. Like, I think this is going to be a series. I've been impressed.
Okay, so that kicks off tonight, I believe. We also have a little bit more playoff baseball. We won't get too deep here, but the Dodgers did force a Game 5 against the Padres last night, much to
Killing me.
Plug's chagrin. The Mets have advanced over the Phillies. The other two series still alive: 2-1 Detroit over Cleveland, 2-1 Yankees over Kansas City. So just, I guess, real quick, did you guys have thoughts on, we have one team advanced, 3 left, kind of on the brink of advancing. Who do we like to advance and then ultimately maybe get into the World Series?
I'll speak on tonight's games real quick. I think Detroit wins. I think we see Detroit move on. Man, they continue to surprise me. Who's not surprised me? Like, they've been doing this for a while now, but like, man, they look good. They look good. Do you guys know who's pitching for the Tigers today?
So that's the thing with the Tigers, that where I have my doubts is that they have one starting pitcher and they're really just trying to ride Scooble the entire way. And the rest of their games have essentially been like bullpen games. And they're hoping to maybe just get another start out of Scooble. And eventually that, I think that kind of runs out. But
yeah,
Plug.
I think they're bringing out Olsen.
Yeah, I like Olsen.
Yeah, he's not terrible. He's got way better numbers than Bybee.
Yeah.
But I personally think that you're not going to see much of either one of these guys tonight. I'm serious. I think this turns into it's Game 4. I think this is what worries me. It turns into a bullpen game. If this turns into a bullpen game, you have to give the Guardians the advantage here. When it comes to starting pitching, I see Bybee, I see Olsen. Right away, I lean Olsen. I know Bybee for a fact. I know his numbers are not good against the Tigers, and that worries me. Problem is, like I said, I don't think we're going to see Bybee long at all. I don't think we're going to see Olsen too long. I think both these guys are going to be out of here. It turns into a bullpen game. Guardians move. I'm worried about this game.
You must like the over then.
I do kind of lean the over a little bit here. I'm more of just staying away from this one. Honestly, I want to personally see the Tigers move. I do. Yeah. I don't want the Guardians to go. I want the Tigers to go personally. But I mean, who don't at this point, right? I mean, this team has been incredible. So that's where I'm at, and that's why I will stay away.
Yep.
Right now, we're looking at 63% in the TENAMINT app are riding with the Tigers, to 36% on the Guardians. So, I mean, I could see it's like we said, even yesterday on the space, is that it is very much still a coin flip matchup. The Guardians, as you said, a great bullpen. I have a little bit more questions about their offense, but they have guys that can deliver situationally. Yankees Royals, I thought that last night was with Seth Lugo. That was probably one that the Royals needed to grab if they wanted to win this series. Yep. Now they see themselves, down and 1-2 in the series here, best of 5. So what do we think on this one tonight in the TENAMINT app? Do the Royals stay alive and extend this into a Game 5, or will the Yankees wrap it up and move on?
Yeah, I think that the Royals win tonight. I know Garrett Cole is pitching for the Yankees. Not the best playoff history for him, especially
even in Houston
years. But he actually does fare better in his second time around in the same series. Like, I was looking at those numbers, he has been better, not from a strikeout perspective, but just limiting runs against him. But I do think KC forces a Game 5. And I do think that Garrett Cole does get hit today. It might be a short run for him today.
I'm hoping so. And I know there's been a lot of complaining about, I don't know if you guys get TBS in Canada with Bob Costas on the call, with these playoff games. But there's been a lot of griping on social media about people saying that they're favoring the Yankees and the broadcasters. But the way I see it, this is every year in the baseball playoffs because people watch their favorite team 100 times a year on the regional sports networks. They watch their hometown announcers all year long, and once we get into the playoffs, they get a national announcer, and they're like, "Oh my God, this guy isn't favoring our team anymore. He must hate us." And that it gets really old and
That's
annoying.
100% though.
Like that's what happens. You're watching
Yes.
your guys all year long, and then now we get into the playoffs and they want, there's all this outrage over how horrible the guys are because it's just different than what you're used to. So I don't know. I would like to see, Dodgers Padres. That's another one tomorrow that, we'll see a decisive game 5. Do you guys, what have you seen there? Is there anything that you like in that series?
So I want to go back to the Yankees game real quick. I am on the opposite side of Sal on this one. I think it's Yankees all day here. I think the Yankees move. I think they wrap this up. I've been on the Royals since the beginning of the year, man. They had to grab that game with Lugo and Cole. So here's my thing. Cole, we already seen this matchup once in this series. We seen this matchup in game 1, where Waka went up against Cole. It was a what was it, 6-5? Yeah, 6-5 Yankees win. Cole goes 5 innings, 4 earned runs. Like you said, he got hit. 4 earned runs, 7 hits, 1 home run. Where Waka goes 3 innings, 4 innings. He gives up 3 earned runs and 3 walks. But I have to trust Garrett Cole here. He's seeing a lineup this close back to back in a big playoff situation. He is a big game pitcher in my opinion. I know he hasn't had the best outcomes, but in a situation like this, it's very situational and it plays right into Garrett Cole. I think if the Royals would have took that game yesterday, man, I would be probably preaching a different story because the team is, there. But I got to go Yankees here as much as it hurts me. And then, like you said, with the Padres, no matter what I tell you, I'm going to be biased. I love the Padres, bro. I love them. I think this team is 100% complete. I think it's just their bullpen is fantastic, bro. The changes they made to that bullpen at the time they did was crucial, and it paid off big time. I love everything about this Padres team. I think they're going to the World Series.
Wow.
I've got the Dodgers winning the series. Not to hate on the Padres, man. They've got you're right, very complete team. The bullpen is great. I just think we're going to see some Shohei magic. To be honest, I think he gets going early. Mookie Betts has looked a lot better recently. I don't know what he did last game. But...
And that's the thing. I was just going to say that on Mookie Betts because, there's been a lot of conversation about, he's disappearing. He's not really delivering. But if you're watching the games, this man has been robbed of home runs. He is smoking the ball. He is hitting the ball hard, like ripping the cover off the ball. And Profar has robbed him, I think, twice of a home run, and he's gotten a couple like hard hit balls up the middle that just incredible defensive plays. So it's not like he's just out there lost at the plate. He is barreling the ball up, hitting it hard, and it's just not necessarily finding.
Right. And he heard that criticism, and he launched that home run in game 3, and since then it's been history, man. Like he's got 2 hits in the last 2 games. 2 hits in each of the last 2 games. 2 home runs total. He's cashing in runs. He did strike out once yesterday, but man, I think like he's turned a page and he heard the criticism. He reacted accordingly, and I think he's locked in from here on out.
Let's be real. This Dodgers team got big time guys that can step up in big time situations. And this time of year, that's what it takes. And the Dodgers line up from almost top to bottom has guys that can step up in big time situations where the Padres lack that. And that is the one big thing that the Dodgers got that honestly worries the shit out of me is they got these big time guys for big time situations. And this is what you pay them guys for. And we know the Dodgers lineup is full of guys that are absolutely paid. And that will be enough to push them through because you do got guys like Mookie Betts, you got guys like Shohei Ohtani. I could go on forever. This Dodgers team is absolutely stacked. They are built for this kind of baseball, plain and simple. And that's what I mean. You can't really take what I'm saying about the Padres serious because I am that biased of them this year. So I get it with the Dodgers. I completely do. And yeah, man, it would not surprise me in the least if the Dodgers move on here.
Yeah, I'm wondering who's starting for the Dodgers tomorrow. Like I see Landon Knock listed
Yeah.
on
Dude, if
365.
they do that, oh my God, man.
But he pitched yesterday, didn't he?
I
mean,
think
he didn't
so.
start,
He
but
was
he came in
supposed
and
to.
relief.
He was supposed to. I don't know if he actually did.
I think I saw he pitched an inning at some point.
They might have him as a starter, maybe go an inning or two, and then they'll probably try and just rotate, through Kopech and all these other guys. They
Right.
might try. I don't know if they're going to try and throw Flaherty back out there. He's got this fake tough guy act going on right now, so I don't know. I liked him when he was in St. Louis, but that obviously didn't end the best. But I don't know. It's funny. He started the year in Detroit. He got traded, and now Detroit finds himself in the playoffs, potentially going further than Jack Flaherty. So,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, maybe they do put Knock in as a starter and then bring in Flaherty just to ease some of that pressure off him. He comes in against the, 4, 5, 6 or whatever, right? Like, I don't want to see Knock the whole game, but Yamamoto, Flaherty, and Buehler all did get rocked. So,
Yeah. It's crazy that a team.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's crazy that a team like the Dodgers, who have invested so much, or at different points of this year and last year, were seen to have such a strong pitching rotation, pitching staff as a whole, that they've just been kind of decimated by injuries, and now they're just kind of piecing things together. I mean, at full strength, you're looking at. I mean, Shohei could be in that pitching rotation, right? Like between Ohtani and Kershaw and Dustin May, and it's just been injury after injury. Walker Buehler, and it's. Some of these guys haven't really come back at full strength either. And it's funny. Now they're just piecing it together.
I mean, you want to kind of think to yourself, though, like, God, man, the team they built, like, if they did have everyone full health, would it even be, like, fair? I mean, these guys are just absolutely stacked, man. And the more you look at it and more like, oh my God, if this team stays healthy, like, what could they do?
Yeah. So, Sal, what was your last point here on this game before we move on?
I was just going to ask, say the Dodgers make the World Series, deep in the series, you think there's a shot Ohtani pitches?
I'm rooting for that. I want to see that happen.
That would be fucking awesome.
It would be incredible if that happens. I would be surprised to see them risk that, but at the same time, I would love to see it. I mean, nothing would be. I mean, talk about like an all-time move by him to just sit out the whole year from the Tommy John. Sit out the year for pitching and then come back in the biggest moment. And
yeah,
I honestly don't think that's even on their mind. I don't think they're even going to even probably entertain it.
I know.
But as a fan, man, please do it.
Yeah. Right. I mean, you want to talk about an incredible storyline. That would be something to watch out for. So
please do it. 11Ks. Please do it.
As we head towards, as we look to kind of start wrapping things up, did you guys we'll go through each one, give your best pick on this NFL board heading in, or for this week, for NFL Week 6. Plug, I can start with you. What is your best pick here in the Tenement app? Just head-to-head, straight-up picks. Who is your favorite pick on the board for the NFL board this weekend?
Give me one.
If you're not
second.
ready, I can go ahead first. I'm
Go
going.
ahead. I'm gonna pull it up on my screen real quick so I can see it better.
Yeah. I think I am going to go ahead and take the Ravens, as we talked about earlier. I mean, this is a team that has they don't have a bad record. They have looked better than even what their record has been. The Commanders are a team that, as we said, the market's certainly high on them. I don't mind laying the number with the Ravens, but more so, I think they take care of business here and get this win and move on. So whoever's ready to go next.
Yeah, I'll go, man. I'm gonna go back to that Sunday night game, Bengals over the Giants. That's my favorite pick. If I had to give a runner-up, I'm taking the Steelers too.
All right, so you like the Bengals here and the Steelers, so heavy AFC North presence here in Sal's picks. Plug, what do you like?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with an underdog here as my best bet.
Whoa.
On the money line, and we're gonna go with the Jaguars. I mean, small underdog, but I think they're gonna come in here and beat the Bears. I see a lot of potential in this Jaguars team. I think we're gonna see a big change from them. We got to remember, man, this is the NFL. Things change all the time, and people get in their mind frame of things are just gonna continue the way it is. But every year we see that swing. And I got to say, I think that swing is going to be in favor of the Jaguars. I said that before that I think the Jaguars will still make the playoffs. It's kind of a bold pick. I know it's kind of a bold statement, but we'll be talking about this coming up here shortly. So give me Trevor Lawrence and the Jags here on the money line, man. They're a small dog for a reason.
Well,
Yeah.
and this game is in London, so we can say this is maybe a little bit of a home advantage here for Jacksonville, as they are used to playing in London. They play there every year. I think they are doing their residency here, where they're playing the next 2 games, I believe. They're playing this weekend, next week in Jacksonville. If they aren't used to this travel schedule by now, then they are never going to be, because they know the deal here. Like, this
and
is
let's
part
think
of their...
about it. All that plays in, right? I mean, they know they got the best places to sleep. They know where to eat. They got their schedule down there. All that, the travel, all that, people only look at like numbers and stuff, but the outside in games like this and travel, man, all that really plays into a team. Yeah, I'm on the Jags here. I'm glad you brought that up, Tenement.
Yeah, Zach. That's a good point there. And yeah, the Jags, they're definitely used to it by now, man. Shad Khan has these guys going out there. I don't know. It's been like 5-6 years straight now, right?
It's probably a better home field advantage than they have in Jacksonville, to be honest. Like, not necessarily as maybe from the crowd perspective, but as far as a situational edge and just familiarity and being used to the travel, the unique travel environment that the London game presents. I think that this definitely, that's something that favors them. And you look at the Bears as a team, young quarterback. They're still trying to get their footing domestically, much less overseas. So yeah, I do not hate that at all. One other thing I want to do while we are here, we can do a check-in into the monthly leaderboard. Just as a reminder, there are cash payouts every month here in the Tenement app for the top 3 on the monthly leaderboard. We got a couple of familiar faces.
Humble brag coming up. Humble brag.
No. We do less check-ins when I'm buried down further, but since, I'm up here at number 2 right now, so we have to make sure that we are checking in. Zancho, myself, and then D. Blaine, friend of the program, here near the top. Plug, we would love to see you make your way into this leaderboard, maybe climb your way up. And,
isn't that you over there? Be Digital? Oh, sorry, no, that's Bobby.
That's our other friend. Yeah,
I'm gonna get that's Bobby. I'm gonna get in there though. I'm gonna get in there today as soon as we get off this show. I'm gonna go ahead and get the Telegram app, and I'm going to get the Tenement app as well within Telegram. So I'm gonna set all that up as soon as we're done off of here.
Yeah, so for anybody who's not in, the QR code is there. Easy way to join. Get in there. Free to play, as we've said many times. Costs nothing. Get in there, make your picks. We have all sorts of sport, every sport really. That is, and even different UFC fights. We're going to be adding more stuff as the season goes on. Maybe some karate combat, some. And another thing that I wanted to give a quick shout out to, that we do have in the app right now, might be to the people that maybe aren't in the near community ecosystem. We do have the Text Royale picks in there. Giving a quick nod and shout out to those guys. It's a head-to-head. It's kind of a Telegram text battle where different projects, different communities are battling against each other. Tenament's represented in there as well, as far as some of the other meme coin communities. Shih Tzu, Black Dragon, all those. So get in there. It's not easy to predict these winners. As some, I've been participating in the Text Royale challenges, representing Tenement, and it's a fun game. It's not a game where there's like clear, hey, this team is way better than the other team. It's all for fun. So it's a good way to unite the community and kind of get everybody kind of participating. We've joined in, thrown those picks into apps. So at the very least, you can get in there. It's another way to add more points and climb up that leaderboard, getting into the Text Royale app. So same way, also in Telegram, just like the Tenement app. So be sure to check them out. Last shout that I will give is to make sure that you are getting in there and following along on the Plugs channel. I know he's streaming, simulcasting to his channels as well, but in case you're not following, get in there, follow his YouTube. He goes live 7 days a week giving out picks. So definitely respect the grind there with the plug. When is your or I should ask, what time is your show today, and what is your lineup going into the weekend?
Yeah, so today I'm going to be going live probably an hour or so after this show. So probably 5 o'clock, 5:15, I'll be going live. I want to do a quick rundown of everything I like in the NHL. And probably just stick to that. Do the NFL game tonight. Get a more in-depth look on some props that I like. And probably going to touch on the WNBA again, most likely. But it's going to be a real quick show today, probably about 45 minutes long. Just give my quick picks real quick, and get in and out, and then get ready for the games tonight. But definitely appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sal.
I was just gonna say, yeah, man, it's been great to have you on, and we didn't get to NHL today, but for anybody who was curious about that, definitely make sure you tune in to the plug session in about an hour. I will also add on the Tenement app, we've got some new missions for you guys. I know we've been talking about that for a while. You're tuned into Tenement TV right now. If you go on the app, hit missions, you're able to get some bonus reward points just for tuning in. Giving some follows on Twitter, on Instagram. And then for our users, we've actually got a survey up there right now. We want to take your feedback, improve the app, understand what you like about the app, what you want to see, what motivates you as a sports fan, and really get some insight and, all to make the app and the experience better for you guys. So really hoping to get your involvement there. We're going to be giving out, we're going to upgrade that from 25 bonus reward points to 100. Really want to get your feedback there. So thank you guys. Make sure you check that out. Make sure you check out those missions. Those will be updated constantly. Plug, next time we're live together, we'll try to get your, a little mission in there for you to, for our viewers to get incentivized to obviously check out the amazing content you put out, as evidenced by what we've done here today. So always a pleasure. Zach, appreciate you. Plug, appreciate you. Bobby Digital, I know you left, but really looking forward to the college football segment later today. And yeah, man, been a good show. Appreciate it.
I was just gonna say that we will be jumping in, doing some breakdown, some a little more in-depth, just college football specifically focused later on tonight. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Definitely keep, firing in those picks, both for the big sports slate this weekend and heading into the, as the matchups keep cranking through with the Text Royale app. So, any other closing thoughts that we had? Sal, plug. I think we've kind of covered through everything. Keep following along, keep tuning in. Appreciate everybody who did give Plug a look, and make sure that you are getting into our spaces that we are co-hosting with Wolf Sports every week as well. Normally 3 times a week. This week we only had 2 with some other events going on. So, more guests on the way, more collaborations on the way, looking to just kind of continue growing this. So love to have you guys. And yeah, I guess that's really the show. So thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for
Cheers.
having me, man. You guys have a great day.
You
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.